Good morning. It is Kitchen Counter Oracle, and just a little something I thought I would share because this is something I've been aware of since 2019, 2020 ish, but the energy came back January 2022. I don't know. It's somebody had a boys' trip, like a bachelor party or something like that in New Orleans, the Las Vegas of the South. Just strong Piscean, like a man with a Piscean placement. And again, karma that could have technically been avoided, technically. But he's just hell bent. He likes things to look a certain way and doesn't like to be proven wrong. But the problem is, like, this is your classic middle-aged, middle-class white dude. No, nothing special. His glory days were when he was in like a frat boy or an athlete or whatever he was in high school or college. It's the most power he's ever had, and the truth is, he ain't shit now. But in his mind, he still thinks his shit don't stink. He thinks his boo boo smell like roses, and it's just like, for the love of God. And the thing is, energies like this are some of the most egotistical pricks on the planet, whether they realize it or not. And I don't know what the deal is, but he likes to kind of control the outcome of certain things. Like, he's the definition of a karmic friend, definitely. But he paid for work on the down low to cause a lot of blockages, a lot of problems, to keep a specific woman away from his friend. But the funny thing is this woman does not care for any, like, him or his group of friends. That's the funny part. So was that work all for nothing? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Because at this point, like, this is like the type of work that was paid for. This is the type that costs hundreds and thousands of dollars, like at least 1 month's mortgage. And if it's like $100 or something of that sort, then it's it's like, I don't know who's more laughable, the person who did the spell casting or the person who paid for it. And the only reason I know what happened is because every time something like this happens, or he goes back to New Orleans to find another worker and stuff like that, the people associated with that practitioner always pop up on my FYP, especially if that, like, if they already have a social media presence, dollars to donuts, they're going to pop up somewhere on my FYP and TikTok. And it's genuinely hilarious. Because what's funny, if people I know have gone to see them, I immediately start getting their names. It's genuinely hilarious. But my thing is, when you are worried about somebody who just isn't checking for you, and you're doing it as a preventative measure, you technically swung first, therefore initiating the grounds for a spiritual war. Now, sometimes the people that throw work, they're just like, I'm sorry, who are you? What? Who? Who? In a manner of speaking. And I can feel somebody low key right now. And I know who it is too. You gonna wish you kept your mouth shut. And on top of that, I would like to point out, like, I really don't like frat boys. I really don't. They're the reason I do not like frat boys. I mean, yes, I grew up in the same tax bracket as a lot of them, but the way I was raised, you cannot pay me to act that way and like just show my ass crack like that. You just can't pay me to behave that way. And the funny thing is, if these guys knew, if they were aware of my mother's side of the family, they would have been a lot nicer than what they were. Trust me, they'd have been a lot nicer. But I have my daddy's last name. Who did they judge me by? My dad's side of the family. And the sad part is the friend of this guy is going to watch this video because, shocker, he has been stalking me on the down low for 20 years. Him and his whole family. Because I can feel them all kind of like shrinking bad down and back at the moment. But my thing is, this friend is guilty of utilizing certain things, as is the person that's about to find out if he hadn't already. Because, like, I know he knows about what he did to me. I don't think he knows what his so called friends were doing behind the scenes. Because where there is a snake slithering along, there is a bigger snake right behind them. And this is one of the reasons why I seldom feel the need to retaliate, because where there's one person who thinks they're mighty, they're powerful, they're really accomplishing something, there is an even bigger monster behind them waiting to devour them. See what I'm saying? Because with great power comes even greater responsibility. You're either careless or you're responsible. There really is no in between here. Now, the thing is, I'm very open about the fact that I do have witch blood in my veins. Two lines, as a matter of fact, Celtic and Appalachian. But at the same time, I don't feel the need, like, there's just so much I don't feel the need to do, such as control a person. Because at the end of the day, the only person I can control is me. I can't control how people respond to me. But when you are lurking in people's energy, trying to cloak yourself in their energy and stuff like that, it's only fair that you take the attacks that are meant for them. Which brings me to this. Somebody did a lot of juju to try to affect a person's love life, their finances, heavy on the mental health part. Mainly their mental, so they can be perceived a certain way. Because and it's basically to match everything that they said about this person, regardless of who they said it to, written statements, etc. This person's hallucinating, they're mentally ill, blah blah blah, they're stalking me, right? But real life proves otherwise. Because with all this technology and stuff like that, we're not as invisible as we think. We're actually very traceable. Even if you turn your location off, you can still be found in some way, shape, or form. Because you got to sit there and think, with our cars nowadays and whatnot, our cars come with a lot of tech, even the economy cars. We can easily sync our phones to our cars. So guess what? Boom, natural alibi without even trying. Just think about it. I mean, yeah, we have a VPN and stuff like that, but still be found. But my thing about this when you cloak yourself, as I said, when you cloak yourself in a person's energy, it's only fair that you take the attacks meant for that person. Which brings me to this. If you're going to have spell work done to affect a person's mental state, you might not want to cloak yourself in their energy. Because this is a download I got while I was having coffee this morning, and it's just like, I know this son of a biscuit. You want to talk about a Uno reverse? Dadgum. Because that's pretty damn funny at the end of it. Like, it's pretty funny. It's genuinely hilarious. A person trying to pay for spell work to have somebody's mental state affected, but here they are trying to cloak themselves in that same person's energy for protection, prosperity, abundance. Guess where that spell work is manifesting? Like, especially if you have air sign placement, specifically Gemini. Geminis are prone to some of the most crippling cases of anxiety I've ever seen. Aquarius said a close second. Think about it. See, when you're trying to do this type of work on somebody who has mastered themselves and whatnot, it's genuinely laughable. But the funny thing is, their stuff don't work anymore. Because believe it or not, some of us have karmics that are politicians, actors, actresses, musicians, and so on down that line, and they have the means to pay for some really, really heavy stuff. And I mean some heavy stuff. Like, this is the stuff you shouldn't be able to recover from. Heavy. We're talking 10 to 100K at a time. Like, they pay that much at a time to have work done. And believe me when I say I've had a lot of heavy-ish thrown my way. And I was told, I was meditating once, and right as I was coming out of the meditation, I was told, if it's in your blood, it cannot harm you. You're like, okay. And I've done a lot of digging on my own respective background in terms of lineage. And I've come across some really interesting things in the last 4 years. Things I genuinely did not know and did not start to figure out until my paternal grandmother had passed away. And then as a source of entertainment, because I didn't know her parents' names at all. And when she passed away, I learned her parents' names through my cousin. And it's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it helped put a few more pieces of the puzzle together. And then I recently discovered something about my native side that I didn't know anything about. And it's like, that also explains some things, which I find very interesting. And looking back, Santeria was being cast on me like crazy during the pandemic. Somebody like Arizona, New Mexico-ish out there was having that done. And it's just like, I could sense it, but I wasn't absorbing it in a manner of speaking. So it's like, interesting. And the thing is, even though I have blood kin in the New Mexico area, It wasn't them that was casting it. It was somebody who knew of my existence out there. A pick-me-sha of sorts. Moving on from that. And looking back, I've had a lot of death spells thrown my way. The one that got the closest was from a Slavic practitioner. And the only reason a lot of that was allowed to go through like it was in the name of educational purposes only. But at the same time, it still whipped my ass. And it, like, when I say it got the closest, it got the closest. And that's because I am not of Slavic descent. So when these little frat boys in my area go to the practitioners in New Orleans and stuff like that, I'm not saying their stuff's not powerful. I'm not saying it's not powerful at all, but at the same time, it's just, I know it, like, it's really some heavy hitting shit. I tip my hat out of respect. Because they've managed to get a punch or two in. But when I figured out what it was, the effects just weren't the same anymore. Because not only did I learn what it was, I learned who was doing it. Again, the effects were not the same. Like, it's genuinely laughable when somebody thinks they hold that type of power over another. But in reality, the person they're doing it to holds a rank in the spirit that they can't even come close to imagining. Now, my thing is this. I would like for this person to explain what their beef is with me. Why are you so worried about me? See, the thing is, I went on with my life 20 years ago, but yet here we are 20 years later, and members of this fraternity are just sweating bullets. Now, the question is why? See, again, the theme is the karma that could have been avoided. Again, the karma that could have been avoided. And I feel kind of bad because these are the kind of guys that don't really have the luck of the draw in life. They have to take what they're given, in a manner of speaking. They only have to choose from who and what is willing to choose them. They would get offended that somebody, quote unquote, like me would turn them down and not find them attractive. They'd take offense to that. But again, when you are doing magic on a person as a preventative sort of measure, it's genuinely hilarious. And the funny thing is, this group will rip each other apart before they ever will rip me apart. But the funny thing is, if this brother, if you will, is willing to do work on one, I'm willing to put money down he's done work on the brothers of his fraternity as a whole. So if you're not as successful as you could be, yeah, it's him. And with that, everyone have a good day.